All right, this is literally my specialty, how emails work with all the different things you use and how important things are. So you're going to have a really better understanding of how all of this stuff works and really why you're having so many problems, okay? So let's get into the hidden issues with email addresses in real estate. Truthfully, and I really want you to be truthful about this, how many email addresses do you have? Personal and business, it doesn't matter. I have seen, well, very few have I seen, 1 or 3, usually 5 to 7, as I've said many times, 12. The highest number I've ever had is somebody who had 27 email addresses. How on earth would you manage that? She used that to sign up for every different type of thing, then trying to manage that. And then I'll tell you the other issues you have when you have multiple email addresses. One of the things is that we see agents sign up for things like, I need one for my kids' school, so they sign up. I want one just to sign up for newsletter, so it's junk mail. I want to sign up just for Amazon or whatever it might be. And you're really creating more chaos than you probably realize. And then we also see people, then trying to figure out, you've got all these different platforms, what's passwords? How on earth and what do we do? That is one of the bonuses. I'm going to talk about passwords, okay? So here's a fun fact. I did talk about this, and you'll hear me repeating things over and over, but the average realtor has 5 to 7 email addresses. Generally, it's 5. And again, is that you, and is that confusing you? A Hotmail one, a Gmail, a Yahoo, it's just very confusing. But what we see is then agents might set up one for listings, one for clients, one for vendors, one for junk, and then also have a brokerage email. I will talk about brokerage email addresses. Bad. Okay. Why real estate agents should avoid free email addresses in general. And an email address could be killing your business. Seriously, let's take a look at this, and I want you to really think about this. Would you use an agent using these emails? And I actually think some agents will go, yeah, of course, but I don't think you really understand the general public's view of this. And there's other technical reasons, which I'm going to get into in this module, okay? So to the public, it appears unprofessional. You are susceptible to spam, meaning it lands in their junk folder and you get spammed as well. There's a security risk because free email addresses are often targeted in phishing attacks. That's a PH, not an F. Because they're widely used and easy to impersonate, and you seriously lack credibility. I'm not saying you're not credible or professional. I'm saying the perception to the public. You really don't look like you're a serious or established agent, and these small details can impact how potential clients judge you. I'm just telling you the truth, okay? So, credibility and first impressions. Would you trust a $500,000, a $275,000, a $3 million deal to someone using these email addresses? It screams amateur hour and could damage your credibility with your clients or possible clients. It's the first impression, and it's crucial in real estate. Deliverability and spam problems. Free email addresses drastically reduce your chances of reaching clients. 45% higher chance of landing in spam. 68% of buyers check spam rarely. 94% of consumers judge businesses by email address. 94% of consumers judge businesses by email address. Are you a business? I don't know why, but I just do see that a lot of agents just don't think it applies to them. And I can guarantee you it does. Your important messages might never be seen, and the lost opportunities due to missed emails. There's also client trust and security concerns. Free email addresses compromise security in real estate. Okay, so 58% of Yahoo inbox emails were missed by spam. 49% of Gmail Hotmail inboxes were spam. And what happens with free email addresses, we cannot tell the internet you're a business, unlike we can if you're properly set up. So what that means, you don't really have to understand all that. If you ever work with us, we do all this for you. But there's no SPF records, TKM records, DMARC authentication options on any free email ever. There's limited recovery if your email gets compromised. And I've seen this happen many times when people come to me after the fact, when they're not set up properly, that they, I don't know, they forgot the password or entered it too many times, and then they have to try and recover it. And sometimes recovery on free email accounts is nearly impossible. All right. It's so important to understand this. 20% of emails fail to reach the recipient's inbox. Security matters when handling $1 million or more or less transactions, right? What we see is free email has limited storage space. So are you constantly deleting important messages? What happens if you ever have to go to court and you actually had to delete those emails because you didn't have room because your business isn't properly set up? You risk missing crucial client communications because are you also, or is their emails landing in your spam because it's not configured, and is your emails landing in their spam? Mailboxes, when they become full and you don't delete them, they stop coming into your inbox. That happens to many people because they're not paying attention to this. And if you were set up properly, none of this would happen. This is really, really important to understand, okay? So another technical part of using free email is that you lose the branding opportunity. So you're marketing for AOL or Gmail or Hotmail and not you. I am always about the agent should be marketing for themselves, about themselves. Because if you switch brokerages, that's going to be a problem. I'll talk about that in a minute. And a lot of times what happens is agents say, well, why do companies actually give you free email addresses? Really, nothing is free for many, many, many reasons. People have to pay for staff, they have to pay for servers, they have to pay for any software. Free is free for a reason, either to get you to use it and then love it and upgrade. And with email, what they do is they profit from your personal data. It's worth it to them. Your information is a valuable product for them to offer other services, which is why you get advertising and spamming. They gain valuable marketing insights from your emails. I'm not saying they're literally reading it, but they're scanning it for sure. And with AI now, bad. And brokerages, if you use a brokerage email, do you ever wonder why they offer this? I want you to really think about it. They'll tell you it's because of E&O. That is not necessarily true. I would challenge them on that. And I would ask to see, let's see the documentation that I must use your brokerage email to be covered by E&O. The other issue with free email is that 95% of the time, if not more, free email addresses have zero support. So when things go wrong, what do you do? Now, I'm going to show you in better terms visually why I say people have about 5 email addresses. If you have more, you have more of a problem. But this is what I'm talking about, okay? So we have 5 email addresses. 1 is iCloud, the number 2 is Gmail, number 3 is Outlook, number 4 is AOL, and number 5 is the brokerage email. So this is literally what happens. So email 1 has email folders. It has its own set of contacts. It has its own calendars. It has its own cloud storage. In this case, it's Apple's iCloud. Email 2, you have the email, you have email folders, you have contacts attached to that email, you have calendars or calendar. Usually it's multiple calendars attached to that email. And then with Gmail, you have got Google Drive. Next one, you have email. Am I getting this across? Email folders, contacts attached to that, calendars attached to that, and cloud storage, which in this case would be OneDrive. Then we have AOL, same thing, and we have brokerages, same thing. So can you imagine now you save a contact on this phone that has the Outlook email, it goes to, actually if you have an iPhone, it goes to Apple's iCloud, unless you understand how this all works. So there's a huge problem about where's my stuff, and you understand now, it could be anywhere, because if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 email addresses, or even 3, how confusing is that? Because the other issue is, if we look at this scenario is 25 things to manage. 5 times 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5. 25 places where things could be. No wonder you can't find anything. Okay? And then we have another issue that maybe things stand alone on your computer, on your phone, on your tablet. So then there's another few places where things can be. Does that make sense? So what that means is that if you don't understand things and things aren't syncing and you have one computer, you save something there, then you go somewhere else, it's not there because it's just sitting on that one computer or phone all by itself. And that happens a lot. So here's another reason why this matters, why free email. I just really want you to be educated on email. I'm just doing high level about things. Why is my stuff messed up? This is why it's messed up, okay? So old email and almost all free emails are either POP or IMAP. Okay, actually, no paid emails are done the proper way. So what POP means is that it cannot sync email. So that means if I have an email on my phone and I have a POP on my computer, it downloads to both separately. So if I read it on here, it doesn't show red on the other, right? Same with folders, they will not sync. Same with contacts, they don't sync. They'll be standalone or there won't be any. It's very weird how it's done, but this is so old, this technology. It's back in the 80s. Will it integrate with a CRM? Nope. And does it come with drive space? Generally not. Now, IMAP, it does sync emails. So that other scenario I just said, I open up an email on my phone, it opens up elsewhere. Awesome, that's IMAP. And the folders also sync, that's email folders. Now, contacts, still a problem. Calendar, still a problem. Does it integrate with the CRM? Probably not. And does it come with drive space? Probably not. Back in the 2000s, not like 20 plus years ago, okay, this was so exciting when the new way, it's not so new anymore, but what happens is a proper business setup where everything can sync and integrate because it's set up properly. It's kind of like, was incredible. When this happened, I can't tell you, I had heart palpitations. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I now can run my business at a fraction of the cost, just like a big, huge company runs it with 1,000 employees. I can now do that. That means everything can sync, all the folders, anything I do, all integrates on my phone, my tablet, my computer, and then of course, a CRM. This is just, it was life-changing when this happened, and I was so happy when that came about, okay? We don't want to be in the 80s anymore, folks, okay? So think of POP and IMAP as really old school way, 80s of handling email. It worked great when everyone had one computer, we didn't have phones, and it's way less convenient, if not like you're probably so overwhelmed, in our new world, not so new world of smartphones and tablets and laptops, okay? And then I'm going to just mention this one more time about Apple, iPhone, and iPad contacts, and Mac contacts as well, is that Apple users generally don't really understand what's happening. And it's all fixable. I want you to know Apple is not bad. I have a phone. I have an iPhone. It is not bad. And I have a Windows computer. It's no problem. You don't have to have all Apple. But what happens if not configured properly, and this is most of the people out there, is that when they add a contact to their phone, it ends up in Apple's iCloud. It doesn't end up where you want it to be. So when you go somewhere else, you're like, I just added to my phone. Why can't I see it? That is why. All right. So if you're unknowingly, and I know you're unknowingly doing this, but you're projecting an amateur hour with every email that you send. I don't mean to be harsh, but the truth is you don't realize how many deals you've lost because of an email address, whether it's the way it looks and how you appear, or whether it ended up in their spam. Using free email address can make you look unprofessional, and perception matters. Is it worth risking your credibility and success Okay, so I like to put this in a different context so you really understand this. Let's say you need a lawyer. Both charge the same fees, they're equally personable, and you get their marketing materials. Who gets the business? Joe the Best Lawyer 1973 at yahoo.com or Jenny at Smith Law? The answer is obvious. Would you trust Joe? And you're dealing with probably more money than a lawyer is. Are you silently judging Joe that what's his age? Don't put your year of birth and your email address. Is he too old? Is he too young? Is he legitimate? Is he even a lawyer? Because that does not look okay, right? And our clients making the same judgment about you. Your prospects are constantly evaluating your digital presence, and personal email addresses instantly raise doubts about you and your professionalism. Are you just in it for 6 months and then you're going to be gone? We help agents build the right digital foundation, because email is just the beginning. And we'll explain this later on in some other modules. Would you hire an accountant who is Joe Blow 2007 at AOL.com? Probably not, okay? You've got to ask yourself, are your clients making the same judgments about you? Now, it is, again, I talk about this, is the foundation of your business broke or cracked? What is happening with all these different email addresses? And then the next module, you'll see even more issues. But you were thrown into the deep end without proper understanding. You weren't told how to swim, and technology changes so fast, faster than most of you guys can keep up with, okay? So let me talk about Jerome. This is one of the second clients I had, and he's kind of one of the reasons I actually started helping agents. So I want to talk about him. He came to me frustrated and overwhelmed that he was spending hours every week trying to manage his CRM, following up with clients, keeping his marketing on track. He was actually exactly the same as Terry. And he said he's losing deals because he just couldn't keep up, and he felt so overwhelmed, working harder and harder for less and less return. So we looked at his setup, and again, we've got to know, how many email addresses do you have? What computers do you have? What phones do you have? What cloud storage do you use? Where's your stuff? And he'd wasted thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over the years on tech consultants and software that didn't work. So we did a full review of his systems, and almost immediately he gained 10 or more hours a week and automated his follow-ups and started getting more repeat and referral business than ever before. Why? Because he had the systems to keep in touch. And today he's still an agent, he's still thriving, and he's added more dollars to his bottom line, and his business runs smoothly, even when he takes time off. Okay, so does this all sound like you? Or you're like, right, I know. Email is so important, and most people, 99% of people, don't understand it. This is my gift, I guess, because I love this kind of stuff, and I've been doing it for 30 years and 20 for agents. Okay, so I'm going to give you one last tip here. I've said this before, do not use a brokerage email address, okay? Do not use a brokerage email address. And I'm going to go into again, why? Because I think I have people coming to me after the fact. They leave a brokerage, then they're crying saying, I was 20 years with whoever, and now I didn't think it through because now my clients don't have that email address. They're not going to forward it to your new email address, right? And all that information in the inbox that's not yours, that's theirs, your emails, your folders, your contacts, your calendars, your files and folders, as soon as you leave, gone. I want you to really understand this for anybody who's using a brokerage email address. Don't use a brokerage email address. Okay? The other thing that I see all the time is do not use a team email address. This is a great example, and this happens as much as agents who come to me with a brokerage email address. Okay, so think about this. We have, let's say it's, I don't know, Fred and Wilma. Okay, Fred and Wilma team.com. And Fred goes and buys the domain name, and then he gives Wilma an email address and Fred an email address. They're happy for 10 years. Everything's good. Then something happens and Wilma leaves, and Fred owns the email addresses. He paid for the domain name. He owns the email addresses. Wilma is pretty much screwed. Okay? I want you to just think about things before you do them. Think about, in the future, if this doesn't work out, do I own my own data? Please, okay? Last little tip here is do not use a brokerage CRM. And that's really, when you get to the CRM as the bonus, that really is one of the big things that we talk about, because I, again, see this all the time, is that the brokerage can change their mind and not offer a CRM, and you've been using it for ages, and then they don't offer for you to bring it in as an individual, or the cost is prohibitive, or you switch brokerages and you can't take it with you, and you spent all this time using the brokerage CRM. I would say own your own email address that is properly set up and configured in a true, real business email, and own your own CRM. So if anything ever happens, no big deal. All right? Okay, so I want to just review again, how do you get the reward? You've got to complete all the modules in 5 days. It's for action takers. Assignments must be completed as instructed below. Post the assignments, obviously, in school. And at the very end, we're going to ask you for an honest review of everything. Also, ask in the chat, questions below. And what we're going to talk about is, next up is free to ask questions below, DM, or book a complimentary chat where we can review